Hello, everyone. How's it going? This is the Bald Metal Nerd coming at you with another wonderful update video. And you're probably wondering, first and foremost, why are you in this bizarre and unflattering camera angle? What's going on with that? Don't worry, that will get explained more or less at the end of this video because I want this to be in chronological order, and my current predicament is the most recent thing that's happened to me. But I will explain what happened. So, anyway, this is going to be the final video, I hope for quite a while, about jobs, right? This is my final quote job update. Um, I had mentioned that, when I accepted my current job that I've been at for, oh, I just completed I'm about to start my fourth week at my new job. I completed 3 already. I'm about to start on week number 4. Whatever. So, I've been there for a little bit, not a super long time, but I said I'm going to chase down I even told my new boss I'm going to follow up on all the other job leads that I'm still in contention for. Well, I did. And they were more or less busts. One of the jobs that I um, followed up on, I had a single phone interview for it, and well, actually, it was like a Skype interview. More accurately, it was Skype based, and I don't think I did super well in it because there were some questions they asked that I didn't have answers for. Just because I didn't know you know, I didn't know the answers without googling them. There were a few technical questions. Obviously, if I can Google it, I'll find out the answer pretty instantaneously. But since it was a Skype interview and I was doing it in real time, it would have been pretty obvious if I was Googling the answer. So uh, there were just a few things I didn't know. And I don't, the person that I was interviewing with, I don't think I connect super well with them. So that was a bust. That's okay, right? Not really a loss. Okay. Um, there was another job. Uh, so that was job number 1. Job number 2, it was a face-to-face physical interview. That one was for working for a managed service provider as a field service technician, where I would have to basically go place to place fixing stuff using my own vehicle. Man, that is not. I think the pay probably would have been somewhat better than my current job. It might have paid, between, if I had to guess, realistically, what they probably would have offered me is 5 to 10,000 more annually. But based on that, um, I'm not super. The fact that I'd have to drive my own car around and rack up the miles. Yes, I'd get paid mileage, but still, who the hell wants to rack up the miles on their car? I didn't mind. I think in the interview I didn't act super excited. I answered the questions and I was professional, of course, but you know, that one, uh, if they were interested in me, I would probably definitely pass on it. Um, and then there was the piece de resistance, right? Um, it was a single phone interview, and what was funny about that one was basically I had an initial phone interview with a recruiter chick, right? And we got to the subject of on call. If you've ever worked in the IT field, you know all about this bullshit. I'm gonna make a separate video about on call at some point, but not right now. So anyway, um, she told me, yeah, there might be some, but it would only be during the week, and it would only be till like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And it would, and that's basically how she explained it. And I was like, well, okay, something to consider. So she asked if they seemed pretty interested, and they passed me along for the second phone interview, right? So I had a second phone interview with like several executives or what the fuck ever they were. I don't fucking know. And you know, we were talking and we were doing standard interview questions, right? They asked me technical questions, they asked me personality, the normal shit they ask in an interview. And it was going really well, actually, until they said, "Do you have any questions for us?" So I, of course, asked the $1,000,000 question: on call, how does it work? Is there extra compensation for it? And of course, I bet know what I heard. I heard no. There's no additional compensation for it. It's just part of the job. And it's of course 24/7. Now it's not all the time. There's a rotation. You're not on call all the time, but still. They don't know the details of it yet. They haven't figured out a rotation. They haven't figured out a schedule. They don't know anything about it. So I then responded with, I have left jobs because of the on-call requirement. And where I'm currently at does not have one. That pretty much ended things right then and there. That job would have paid significantly more than I'm making. It would have paid probably about 15,000 more a year. Plus, now so obviously the on-call is a major downside of the job. Plus, not only that, it's 10 miles further away from my home than my current job. So right now I commute 28 miles one way to my job. So doing the math, that's 56 miles a day, right? That job is 38 miles one way, right? So that is 74 miles. Or wait, 38. No, it'd be 70. Sorry, 76 miles a day. Jesus, I'm terrible at math. So yeah, that's not going to work for me. That's a major downside. So even though the pay would have been a lot better, the distance difference and the on call requirement make it a major for me. So my current plan with my current job is simply this. I plan on more than likely staying put for a year. The only way I'll leave before that is if the money becomes a problem. Like, what if my paychecks are too small? I could see that inspiring me to look sooner than that. But if I can get by on what, because I don't know what my net's going to be. I've done some calculations trying to figure out what my net pay is going to be, but you know how it is. You can never get it exact. There's always variation. So depending on what I'm bringing home, that of course is going to determine how long I stay at my current employer. If it's enough to scrape by on, if it's enough to pay all my bills, which I'm extremely confident it will be, because I have made this. I was making this level of income that I'm making now. I have yet to get my first paycheck. I'm supposed to, because the first pay, whatever, I'll be getting it this week. But anyway, I have made this amount of money before, 9 years ago, and I was surviving on that. But then again, 9 years ago, my wife was also working, and that has changed. So we'll see. We'll see. It might be a struggle, but we will see how that works out. Anyway, that is enough about jobs. Now I'm going to tell you guys a little tale of a dummy. But despite the fact that I'm a dummy, there is definitely some toughness and perseverance in this story as well. So the reason I'm laying back like this and you're seeing me like this is I can't really sit up in my well, I mean, I guess I could, but it's much more comfortable for me to sit this way because right now I am temporarily a little bit on the guess you could call it disabled side. I was I injured myself. I was in the woods hiking yesterday on Saturday. Today's Sunday. I was hiking in the woods with my 17-year-old daughter, and I'm lucky she was with me. And I decided to do something a little bit foolish. So it's my fault that this occurred. I started to run down a hill, just being childish, having a little bit of childish fun, running down a hill. Well, I tripped over a rock, twisted my ankle pretty bad, and down I went. And I hit fairly hard as I went down. So not only did I twist my ankle, I twisted my left ankle, and I banged my right knee on the ground. So that was a fantastic combination, right? So basically, what happened was, I laid there for a few minutes after falling. My daughter's like, she's like, "Dad, are you all right?" I said, "Well, just give me a few." So I laid on the ground for a bit. Obviously, I got up. you know, um, Composed myself, and kind of. Now in the woods, my phone only works in certain places, right? So I start hobbling. With my to give my daughter credit, she did help me out quite a bit. She got me she found me a stick that I could use to help support my weight, um, and that helped quite a bit, obviously. And she offered to support, help me walk. So so basically, I kind of hobbled along for a little while, and found a tree stump to sit on. And it just so happened my phone worked in the spot. Fantastic. So I call the visitor center of I was at Miami Whitewater. I call their visitor center. And I say, "Hey, I've got a little bit of a situation here." I said I'm on your longest nature trail, and they're like, "Oh, that one's called the Badlands." I'm like, "Okay, fine. That's the trail I'm on." I said, I fell. I said I fell, twisted my ankle. Do you guys happen to have some sort of off-road vehicle that you can come by with and take me to my car? And they's like, "Well, are you sure you can drive?" I said, "Oh yeah, absolutely, I can drive. My right foot is still uninjured, and since I have an automatic transmission, that's all I need." I said, "Yeah, I can drive. I just am having some trouble walking. So if you could, help me out and get me to my vehicle, that would be much appreciated." And he said, "No, we don't have anything like that." He said, we can't, get you out." I'm like, "Oh, that's fantastic." By this time, I think I had already walked about a quarter of a mile, by the way, on my, bad foot. And I'm like, "Well, that's okay. So you can't come." He said, "No." He said, "The only other option is call the life squad, and they'll take you out on a stretcher." I'm just like, "Oh, geez." Because I know if, the life squad were called, that means here in America, USA, that means I get a bill for a couple of $1,000 easily, right? So I did, to save myself a few $1,000. I'm sure you can guess what happened next. No. He basically said, he's like, "Well, if I were you, I would just try to get out of there." I'm like, "Well, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I don't want to incur a bill for a few." He's like, "Well, if you get to a point where you think you can't make it or whatever, just call us back, and we'll send the life squad for it." I'm like, "Fantastic." So the phone call ends, and basically at that point, I hobble maybe another somewhere between another quarter and half a mile. I'm not sure exactly how far it was. So basically, I hobbled with, now to be fair, with the aid of my daughter. She was great with me. Um, I hobbled between a quarter of a mile and three quarters of a mile on a sprained fucking foot and a banged up knee on my other leg. And I fucking hobbled out of the woods. Um, it was quite painful, obviously. Uh, not the easiest. Like, it's probably one of the hardest things I've ever done physically in my life. And as you can tell, I'm not a light man. So I was like, yeah, but I was able to do it. I got out of the woods, literally. Um, got in my car and came home. Right? That's pretty much what happened. So, of course, what I've been doing since then is, I've been taking it pretty easy. I've been having my foot propped up. I've put ice on it. I can manage to walk. I'm a lot better than I was yesterday. Yesterday, I was in some pretty extreme pain. Today, the pain is significantly reduced from what it was. Um, I think the keep taking it easy and all that is definitely helping. I can walk on it for brief stints. I've been using crutches to help me out and one of those scooter things. So I am getting around, but my mobility is definitely limited compared to what it usually is, which sucks. And it really gives me a lot of empathy and sympathy for people who live with limited mobility, like as their life. So hats off to those folks. My condition is obviously temporary. My ankle will heal up and I'll be fine. But some people have to live with it all the time, limited mobility. And I guess the last thing I'm going to talk about is job related. So I guess another bookend. I had mentioned in one of my previous videos about jobs, about a job that could have potentially paid me six figures. Since that job's not going to happen, by the way, I forgot to tell you guys about that when I was talking about all the other jobs. So basically, that job, the guy who I was talking with, the recruiter seemed to think I would be a top candidate, right? So the week before last, yeah, yeah, the week not this previous week, but the week before, apparently on Wednesday, they had a big presentation about all these candidates or whatever. And I was one of the candidates that was presented to him. I had to make a video about myself on, obviously I dressed a lot better than this and I looked a lot better. You get the idea. I had to make a video about myself and they presented me, I guess, along with a lot of other candidates. And basically the feedback I got was, well, you weren't one of their top picks, but they didn't say no on your profile. That didn't give me much hope. They're like, but we're going to meet with the CI, somebody higher in the organization next week, which was this previous week. And I heard nothing back. And I suspected I wouldn't. I suspected as soon as I heard I wasn't one of their top picks, I was like, yeah, this thing is fucking dead and buried. I didn't say 100%, but I said 80% dead and buried. Now, the fact that another week had passed and I heard nothing, it's fucking dead and gone. Which is fine. And by the way, since I didn't name the organization, it would have been, now that I know for a fact I'm not getting that job, I can name the organization, a very famous organization. It would have been that six-figure job would have been with the Cincinnati Reds. Um, and I think that would have probably been a cool job. I think it would have been interesting. It would have been really intense because I would have had to have worked a lot during baseball season. But it would have been massive overtime, and I would have honestly been okay with that because I would have been like cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching all day long. But not going to happen. So, such as life, and that's okay. That's the way the cookie crumbles. You don't get everything in life that you want. You know, but what I can say is this time, with the way I handled my job hunt and the decisions I made along the way, I have zero regrets about it. And I think I made absolutely the right choices for me this time around. I have no regrets about how I handled it or what I did. I think for me, I did everything correctly for my best interests as much as I could. So, anyway, that's it. I know this ran long, over 20 minutes now, so apologize for that. If you made it all the way through, you're a real trooper. Thank you so much for watching. I genuinely appreciate everybody who is part of this, who, you know, watches, comments, whatever the hell you guys want to do. I even like the people who thumb me down. So, anyway, that's it. You guys know what to do. Thank you so much for watching. Live long and prosper.